Hi, this is Katie Leibman here, the Director of Communications at 228 Main, and I've got the research team, including Billy Garver, Greg Leibman, and Mark Leibman. So guys, I have some questions for you. It looks like the markets are still sliding. Equities look to be down, and I'm sure that a lot of our younger clients and younger investors are wondering about what the outlook is with all the declines we're seeing. Mark, what would you say to them?
Well, so first off, yeah, it's the end of the world, according to a lot of the financial media and that does benefit from provoking fear and pandering to panic. And so when we take a step back and look at what's happened here, I see in early 2016 and in 2018 and in 2020, we actually had declines in our portfolios that were very similar to what's gone on today or worse. And yet we know at the same time that those points, those low points in 2016 and 18 and 2020, boy, what a great time to invest. So every downturn feels like disaster when we're in it, but when you look at it from hindsight, it always looks like a huge opportunity. Wow, if we could have invested and didn't at the bottom in 2016 or at the pandemic lows in 2020, we'd be so much poorer. So keep the faith. We've been through this before. We've seen this movie. That's what I would say.
Yeah. So I'm hearing we've seen this before. It is familiar. It's not unprecedented, as we love to say. True. These last couple of years. But also that with down, there's up, with good, there's bad, with pain, there's opportunity. Greg, what are you seeing along those lines?
Yeah, so it's kind of interesting that you use that word unprecedented, because in a sense, this is unprecedented because every market downturn looks a little bit different than any other one. The pattern in the tech wreck back in 2001 was very different than the pattern in the Great Recession 2008, 2009. It was very different than the big drop at the beginning of the pandemic 2020, and it's different than what we're seeing today. So every time we see a big downturn, it is always going to be different. It doesn't hit everything equally, and so what we're seeing is that we have, for the first time in many decades, a looming wall of inflation. And so that is a big opportunity for a lot of commodities and commodity-driven companies, companies dealing in physical goods. You look at the gas pumps and see $5 and up, and it's like, it's pretty good time if you own the oil company. So there are opportunities out there. This is why we diversify in the first place. We're not looking at owning everything, but we're looking at owning a good swath of the market. So where we think the bargains might be.
Yeah, it sounds like, Greg, you have to be intentional, right?
Yes, very much so.
If every situation is going to have its own nuance, depending on what's going on. You mentioned inflation. It's hard to ignore, especially at the gas pump. So that makes a lot of sense. So one thing we've been talking about on the team is this idea that we always think it's important to know what you own and why. Billy, can you talk through why that feels more important now, maybe?
Sure. So, and I want to mention something else too. As we see, the red crawl across our screens, or if you're watching financial media across the bottom line of your TV, remember that until the sell button is hit, those aren't your losses, right? That's what we're seeing now, but it's not locked in yet until we hit that sell button, which not super interested in doing that at this moment. Wanting to know what you own, is super important. Knowing what you own is super important in times like this because it helps keep you invested. It helps you keep the faith, to understand why you're holding on to this company, why you've put your capital into it. Obviously wanting to do that for good reasons. If you're investing in a company because it's the best, it does its best work in these changing environments, maybe that's not it. That's not a reason to hold, but we like to invest in these we like to find these bargains, but investing in them for the long term. And that's through these ups and through these downs as well. So knowing what you own and knowing that the given company or the given sector might get torn up here in a high inflation environment or as interest rates continue to rise, but recognizing that they're not going to go anywhere and that they're going to come through this and see the other side and continue on their journey to, to still be a part of our lives and however we use them is important to remember in times like these.
Yeah, it sounds like you're asking investors to come back to, has the reason you picked it or we picked it or we got in, has the reason changed or has the current value changed, right? Those are two really different questions.
Right.
That makes a lot of sense. Team, thank you for sharing what you're thinking about these days. I know it can seem tumultuous, it can seem frustrating, it can seem like we're stuck here, but we never are. It's never down, 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 down. It's never up, 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 up. But something more interesting along the ride. So thanks again, clients. This has been a Q&A with the research team. Take care and we'll see you next time.
Bye now.